Zero.
It's MCU Mondays on Geek News Now. We're talking about Marvel on Geek News Now. Falcon, Winter Soldier, then there's Loki coming next. The movies and on TV and the comics and the rest. It's Geek News Now. Here's your host, Chris.
It's beautiful. Welcome to a very special episode of MCU Mondays on Geek News Now Live. I, of course, am your host, Chris. You might have noticed me singing in that wonderful new intro. I did sing the one part and the other part and all the other parts. That was all me with some sound editing and fun. I'm excited to be here. I'm very excited to talk about this episode, and we have a special guest with us. But before we get to our special guest, let's introduce our regulars. Debbie, introduce yourself over there. There.
I'm Debbie, part of the social media team, and I'm responsible for all the memes and spreading of the content, YouTube channels, podcast, and big Marvel fan, and I can't wait to talk about the finale.
Oh, very excited. Very excited as well. David.
Well, my name's David. I am the head of the Literary Legion for GNN. All the wonderful articles and news reports, things you see on the GNN website, geeknewsnow.net. That's our team of writers, and I run that part of GNN for us.
He runs the Literary Legion. He's running a legion. That's impressive, I gotta say. I don't have a legion. I have a couple fools. I hope they're not watching right now. I didn't just call you fools. Devin, introduce yourself. Uh-oh. He mentioned he had computer problems, and he's frozen in a smile. It's not a bad pose.
Yeah.
I've seen worse places to get frozen.
Oh, there he is.
Oh, there he
Are
is.
you back?
I'm back. No idea what happened.
Oh,
Darkhold
Very
interference.
Am I?
Give us your intro, Devin.
Wait, I'm waiting. Wait. Okay, I think I'm good. All right. I am Devin. I'm with the Literary Legion. I write articles, and I'm also recently with the Gaming Gurus. I now stream live on Twitch under GNN Gaming as Retro Piece Theater on Thursday nights.
I've actually really been enjoying those, by the way. I got into Dungeons and Dragons not long ago, and your articles have kind of helped me re-enjoy that.
Oh, good.
And get back into it. I haven't been able to play recently with my friends that I used to. But anyway,
somebody reads them.
People read them. Just because it's... Anyway, last but of course not least, our special guest tonight, down below me right there, is Paris Lockhart. Welcome,
hey everyone.
Paris.
Hey everyone, how's it going? Thank you. I'm Paris Lockhart. I run the Marvel Cinematic Universe Facebook group, and I'm here to talk about WandaVision and anything and everything Marvel. So
we're excited to have you with us today. Speaking of that Facebook group, I've been a member of it for a while just because it's a good place to share anything related to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Obviously, that's the name of it. It's got over 500,000 members, and I like to make these music videos and stuff. So I'd put them there, and it allows people to see them. I was always impressed, and I don't know if you have any. I know that you're a co-founder, but I was always impressed with like the attitude of your Facebook group, because I've been on different Facebook groups, and it's the general attitude of the group can be all over the place, and I see a lot of groups where it's just infighting and nonsense and hate and stuff. And this group with 500,000 plus members, very supportive. Very
Yeah. One of the things that we do is we target the members. So once you join, there's questions that you have to answer. And just to prove your real profile. There was a time when we first started where we didn't have that many we had a lot of members, but we had a lot of fake profiles on Facebook. People just would create accounts and then join and then spam the group. But we locked it down. You got to be at least over 2 years and then prove that you're a real person. A lot of things that we discuss in the group, we try to not post as many memes. We try not to post as many articles from sort of random sites that will trigger arguments, like DC versus Marvel, right? We target just Marvel only, and we don't allow posts of Scarlet Witch versus someone else, because all that's going to do is trigger the arguing. Now, what goes on in the comment section, right? And that's why we have a reporting feature right there, because you can't control that all the time. So we allow people to comment, and then we allow the users, well, not the users, but our members. They're really cool members, and they'll flag someone quickly and report it, and we can just quickly toss them. So, shout out to the group members of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because they're the ones who actually keep that engine going.
Absolutely. And something else that I noticed when I was on your channel is that one of the admins seems to be Marvel Studios.
Yes.
So is that you're the official one of their officially licensed channels, would you say, or is how does that work? What does that mean?
Well, I wouldn't call us licensed channels yet. We've worked with them in the past during a Black Panther video DVD release. So they gave us some free content, never before seen videos, and we posted them all in our group, which drove a lot of membership. And they did it for us, and I believe Fandom. I don't know if you know who Fandom is, but they're also part of them. And we work with folks at Marvel Studios and Disney and people at Facebook. They're the ones who gave us the watch party. Mm-hmm. We actually got that first out of a lot of the groups, because back then we had 300,000+ members, and they wanted to see, how it would go. So we started one of the things in it, and it automatically sent it out to 80,000 people's phones and devices, right? And they were like, "What is this? Why am I getting this?" And that was just Facebook doing their testing for it. So it was pretty cool to see that and get that. Now they cracked it down because they didn't want people to be posting full live movies. Now that Disney Plus is out, right? So there's that. But working with Marvel Studios is something that we've done in the past, and it's something that we'll continue to do as long as they're willing. So got a few contacts working with them and their marketing department and their social media department. So we'll see what happens in these next couple of shows. So they did reach out. So we'll see.
That's awesome.
That's very cool. And the link to that Facebook group is in the description below. So no matter if you're watching this on Facebook or on YouTube, if you want to get involved, check out that link. Get over there, Marvel Cinematic Universe. Again, like I said, it's a great group. And some of the things you mentioned is why I know that we're going to get along, because you were talking about not posting stuff to the literal clickbait or the stuff that's going to start fighting, the stuff that's literally out there to cause confrontation. Will it get a lot of hits? Yes, it will. But it will also create this atmosphere that you don't necessarily want. Geek News Now is very much on the same page as that. We are about the news. Now, when we do live shows like this, obviously we have our own opinions. We have our own things that we think. It's like the comment section. It's just our thoughts about it. But when we go to geeknewsnow.net and you go to that website and you look at the articles there, we're not posting things like this person versus this person or da 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 da. It's we try to stick to news. We do our best to this is the stuff you're interested in, and this is actually the actual things. Okay, real thing. Right. And speaking of real, actual things, the season finale of WandaVision came out, and I guess we should talk about that now. Whoa! So there's tons of things that we have to talk about. Obviously, this is the season finale. The entire time we've been having this show, we've been coming up with theories. We wonder about bad guys, behind the scenes stuff. We've been talking about fan theories that other people have come up with. And so there's a lot to get through. Let's just try and start with something that pissed me off. Pietro, Ralph, Boner. Someone else tell me your opinion on that, because I am too furious right now.
I have one on that, and I gotta say, props to Feige and everybody over at Marvel for basically dropping the ultimate troll on the fans. It doesn't. That's pretty much. It served the purpose that we were all afraid it would, which is just to cause more theories and more ideas. And what direction is this gonna go? It was unexpected. None of us. I didn't see it coming.
Yeah, you didn't see it coming, because like what kind of and it's the thing that actually also frustrates me is it's not the first time we've seen something like this.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they knew what they're doing when they used that character to play Pietro. They knew what they were doing. That's why part of me is thinking, now let me know, are any of you on the same page with me this, that maybe the whole Ralph Boner thing is a mislead. Do you think this could actually be something more? Like, do you think this could actually be some sort of version of Quicksilver? Or do you think it was all just Agatha? I want everyone to tell me what they think about that. Start with Paris.
All right. I, from the beginning, once they announced it, once he made the feature, I was like, this is just too easy. And I had a feeling they weren't going to talk about, there's no way that they were going to open this up to the Fox universe yet. There was a potential to kind of set it up that way, but I was like, nah, that's just too easy for them to go that route. But I was really curious to know who he was going to be. We all knew that he was going to be, I think majority of us knew he was going to be controlled or with Agatha, but I just didn't know to what extent was he being used as a pawn. Then the whole theory of Mephisto, of them taking him from the Fox universe and then throwing him in here for them to run around and cause chaos to mess with Wanda. It's just, I don't know. It's just, but I know a lot of fans were let down because of that. It drove like just the frustration level was just
Although it does, you could just put that Agatha All Along theme song behind it, even though that was like the episode before. But it's just like, oh, Quicksilver wasn't who you wanted him to be. It was Agatha all along, and it's just like, oh,
yeah.
That's so rough, though. I mean, they chose him again because people, it's meta. It's almost too meta, even though this is a meta show. They knew that people were going to be talking about that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And
it strikes me as either a wasted opportunity. Like, I've got to imagine that they're going to do something with it in the future. Debbie's strictly on the Pietro. What do you think? Do you think there's more to this story?
I'm going to stick with my theory that they're going to do something with him. Whether he's, well, I still think he's Quicksilver. This could all be a mislead. He could be the missing witness, from Jimmy Woo. Who knows? But I don't know. It pissed me off, but this happens to me every time. I don't care if it's Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel, DC. I get my hopes all up, and then, they crap all over me. So,
well, I did want to talk about that because some of the criticism of the season finale was that like fan expectations were met, things like that. And I was going to say, if they're fan theories and things like that, that's one thing. You should never get your hopes up too much on your own fan theories. But on the other hand, we had actors, producers, people within this production hyping it up themselves. We had people say there's going to be a Mark Hamill at the end of Mandalorian season 2 level cameo at the end of WandaVision. When you say that, that's setting grown men were weeping. Okay, I've seen videos. Okay, that's not so. I don't know how many grown men wept at the end of WandaVision. I, for one, was like, "This is moving. I get it. I love the character. I liked a lot. Overall, by the way, big fan, huge fan of WandaVision and of everything they're setting up. Now, did I have things that I was kind of let down on? A little bit. I wanted things to happen. Fantastic Four, nothing there.
Yeah, who's the engineer?
The engineer. Like that makes me wonder that when they were like, well, there's a Mark Hamill level cameo, and people were like, well, then it's got to be like maybe it's Doctor Strange, and so like they name drop Strange, didn't show him. And again, it's one thing when you have fan theories. But these were directors and actors, and Paul Bettany is like, oh yeah, the cameo I was talking about was just me. And I'm like, that's not a cameo. That's just you. You've been in the show the entire season. That's not a cameo. If Mark Hamill had been in The Mandalorian the entire and then showed up at the end, it would have been a shock because he would have been there the entire time. So why would you say that? Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
9 episodes later, and Chris is finally losing it.
and waiting. Is bound to happen.
I think my thoughts on this, as far as you've got the whole the Mark Hamill level cameo at the end, and they said all of that, and then you had Pietro who just showed up to be absolutely nothing. I honestly think Marvel's putting stuff like that into the movies because they are tired of the fan theories and saying, okay, who's going to be right and who's going to be wrong? What fan theories are right? What fan theories are wrong? Let's throw a bunch of crap in there, and then they'll obsess over this one part of it, and then the real story will get told over here, and they'll be like, oh, I didn't even see that coming. Ha ha ha. So it's just a cover. It's a ruse.
Well, it's genius on Marvel's part because it gets people talking. I mean, that's what we've done for 9 weeks now, is throwing out our theories. I had 2 right, but it gets people talking week after week after week. And that's what they want. They want people to talk about it, get other people interested in it, get people to come into Disney Plus. I mean, it's genius. So whether we like it or not, that's another thing. But
and that's something that we've been talking about this entire time. I mean, this show, as it stands, MCU Mondays, started with WandaVision. We started this a couple weeks ago with like the 4th episode. So that's when our version of this started. And we've been asking these questions all along. Like, are these things going to happen? What's going to lead to? How's it going to happen? And I think it's actually part of the genius, again, of Marvel, of moving into, we've talked about the changing technology, we talked about pandemics, we talked about streaming services versus movies versus all of that changing stuff. And as it does continue to change, having a streaming service where you can release a TV show and do it week to week, keep people paying month to month, because it's gonna every single series is gonna cross over 3 months. So you got people paying for 3 months, and then the next one starts, and then you get a movie come out. And why not? And I'm not even complaining about it. I'm not saying it's like these, schemers in there. I'm like, I think it's good. I also liked the week to week thing, even though a bunch of people freaked out about it because they're used to binge watching stuff. I think Debbie was saying it, and I think we've all said it at some point, but the water cooler moment, it gives you that time to like have a week to talk about it with other people. You know what I mean? Yeah. What do you think about that, Paris? Have you noticed anything on like your Facebook page about that?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. It was intense. Most of the fans on our group were like, oh, I got to wait a week. There's like all the memes that are flying around. I can't believe I got to wait a week to get this done. Right. But the conversation would be limitless because they just continue to talk about it. Like this theory, that theory, you got other people weighing in with their theories. And it just spans across that week. And then the next episode comes out. They're like, well, there goes that theory. I got a new theory. Right. So it's pretty awesome to see. I like how they did this in this series. Now, the upcoming series with Falcon Winter Soldier, which you'll probably get to, it's probably going to be a little bit different. But I have a feeling that Loki is going to touch back on to this. But for WandaVision, like, Is it Mephisto? Is it Charon? Is it who is it? Right? You know,
we're gonna get to that stuff more at the end.
Okay,
but
yes.
you're on point 100%. We are going to be getting into. I mean, and we've talked about it in previous episodes too. The shows that are coming in the future, like the setup of Falcon and Winter Soldier is not going to be like WandaVision. Like it's not going to start out like that was very unique to this because it fits in with the story they're trying to tell. And that's the beauty of it. They can make that fit with the story they're trying to tell there and let these things be their own individual pieces of work and their own individual stories while connecting to that overall greater story. And that is the thing that Marvel has been able to do in their cinematic universe better than anyone else. They did it first and they've done it the best so far, and other people have tried to catch up. We've said, you know, the big problem with DC is that they were trying to play catch up. They're trying to rush into that stuff, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the season finale of WandaVision. Speaking of which, getting us back on topic.
Fill my eyes with that double vision. It's always new to me. My double vision is the best of me.
Yes, I am working on a music video for that. But I at least needed that ready for tonight because we got to talk about that double vision.
Prime Man, fill your eyes with double vision.
My eyes!
Those aren't the words,
I can't see straight. What have you done to me?
Aqua Teen Hunger Force.
I'm a fan of the classics. Double vision. What do we think about that? I know I personally was hoping for more of a. I was really hoping that White Vision was going to speak with a full-on Ultron voice. He came close, got garbled. I feel like they should have gone the full 100% with that, even though I do like where it ended up. I want to hear your thoughts on that. Devin, take us away.
Well, I mean, number one, Paul Bettany, that was, again, him just being trolling, because the rest of his quote about the Luke Skywalker level reveal was him saying, it's this actor I've always wanted to work with my entire career, and we have this awesome scene on set and this great chemistry, and it's just Paul Bettany. Wonderful British humor. That scene was really brilliantly shot, and the debate of Theseus' ship is an old philosophy debate. I've heard of it before. And the way that was approached, that whole scene was done beautifully, because the two of them together would never, ever, ever beat each other. They're essentially invincible. What are they going to do? So it had to come down to a debate of logic. And it's the Turing test, of you ask the number of questions and are you machine or man?
Well, you even in that little clip I just showed, I tried to include it, but when the questions they ask are deliberately reflected upon, what are you? Are you Vision? Am I Vision? Are we both Vision? Is neither of us Vision? And the end comment is,
Fill my eyes with that double vision. It's always new to me. My double vision is the best of me.
the last thing that the White Vision says is, I am Vision. And that's after he gets his human looking eyes. And then he shoots away. What happened to him? No idea. Yeah. That was the last time we see. Again, there was I saw a tagline for this episode that was the destinies of everyone involved in WandaVision will be revealed. And I was like, not even close. Not even close.
You know what? You mentioned that, and I think that was one of the things that upset me completely about this episode was, and we had talked about this last week, was the whole, what loose ends are we going to tie up? What all the loose ends, how are we going to solve all of this? The only loose end that they tied up was, are they going to close the hex? Is the hex going to go away? Everything else was just well, not only did you not tie everything up, you put a whole bunch of new ones in the fire. There's it's holy crap, what are you doing to us?
Right.
And then you start screaming at it because it's well, this is only supposed to be a mini series, not a we're going to have a second season. So are we going to have a second season, or we not going to have a second season, or what's going on?
I'll tell you what. I was gonna say it originally, and probably a couple times during this series, I've said, "Well, it's a mini series. It's not like they're gonna do it." Da, 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 da. But they're like, "This is popular." The bean counters, they're like, "Everyone's watching this. Maybe we need to come out with a season 2." I say, again, leave it up to Feige. He's managed the whole thing very well so far. If there have been bumps in the road, there has not been a derailment. He knows the source material, and he's working with it well to create a really good expanded universe that's pleasing the general audience for sure. And even most of like the comic book fans and stuff like that, because even in this WandaVision, we had tons of stuff from the House of M storyline, from the comic storylines, and that's why so many people were thinking Mephisto. On the Mephisto front, people, we've been talking about it. Debbie, you were thinking we were going to see a hint, and we even said we won't see Mephisto. Okay, we won't see him, but there'll be a hint, like they did with Thanos back when they were starting, way back in the day. Would you say, do you think that second end credit scene is that? Do you think that because she hears the kids crying out, is that the setup for Mephisto, do you think?
Mephisto, or and I'm not sure I'm pronouncing the name right, but Chthon?
The wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. No, I'm
whatever.
I'm just kidding. You probably said it right.
I have no idea how it's said, but it could lead into him. Maybe both. Maybe Nightmare. I don't know. Maybe all three.
Chthon. Who puts a C in front of it? It's like Cthulhu. Cthidian. Depending on happens, Doctor Strange 2.
Well, and actually, too, that wasn't the only mention, because when right before she locked Agatha up, Agatha said, "No, you're gonna need me. You're gonna need my help." It was almost like Agatha is keeping something else at bay, and if she locks her away, then she's no. It's almost like Agatha's like a Doctor Strange character, where she's doing something to protect the world from something else that's coming, an interdimensional, whatever. And if you lock me away, then that protection goes away, and now you're gonna need my help when it does get through. So I saw that personally. I saw that as a plug for, okay, so something bigger is out there.
Yeah, I've got a theory on that too. Is there's a way they could still tie this back into the classic House of M Mephisto storyline, and that is she's using the Darkhold. We see that in the post credits scene. And here's a theory, and I thought this up in the car today. All right, so it's she's using this. It gets his attention because Mephisto is otherworldly. He is, I believe, immortal. He's on the realm of the Eternals. So, like in that vein of superpower, she makes a deal with the devil. She got a taste of what that life was that she created, but she couldn't actually sustain on her own. She makes a deal with the devil, Mephisto, and then we're back into the Mephisto and the children, bringing that back into the realm, and then Doctor Strange coming and saying, "No, you're ripping the world apart." Yes, Chris.
The Darkhold was also written by or came from Chthon, and was partially written by Morgan Le Fay. So
there could, the just the introduction of that book actually introduces, in a way, tons of these characters. Like we were saying, maybe we're not gonna get like, oh, there they are on screen, but that book being there opens the doors to tons of things. Devin, what I wanted to say when I was raising my hand was because you talked about Wanda Scarlet Witch wanting that life that she created, which made me a line that stuck with me. As soon as I heard it in the show, I was like, well, that's an interesting way to phrase that, is when she says goodbye to her children. She says, "Thanks for choosing me to be your mom."
Right.
Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
I have some thoughts, but it's more based around the theory that Devin had was like right and Chris, you mentioned it when Agatha, before she got wiped back into her suburban housewife character there, she said, "You don't know what you unleashed," right? So this is even before she even had the started doing work with the Darkhold. So evidently Agatha already knows something, but was probably trying to get Wanda to say, "Hey, you're going to need my help." And then Wanda was like, "I'll know where to find you." So I think that relationship right there is going to continue on later on, and maybe, of course, I think it's going to be, and of course, Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. But the twins, I think when Wanda gave birth to them, they actually did have some sort of soul, and in the book is where she was probably trying to recreate them and did it, and that's why she heard the voices, but she doesn't know where they're at probably, and that's when whoever, Mephisto, Charthon, all of them will have an opportunity.
Well, that's the thing, yeah. If she closed the hex, right, then where is she hearing these voices from? And that's got her sitting in that end credit scene. I mean, first of all, we see her walking into the cabin in like a beige sweatsuit when she hears the tea ringing, and she goes in, and then there's a totally different her sitting in like a bubble of chaos magic, kind of like Doctor Strange when he's looking into the different futures. I got to figure, instead of like him when he was looking at, she's looking at different realities and stuff like that. And because I'm thinking, if she closed the hex and that's the only place where their children existed or whatever,
right? I think
then where are they? And if she's hearing them in pain, then now they are somewhere else. And it's like Debbie has said in previous episodes when talking about Mephisto, and that her children were created with shards of Mephisto, and that's part of how they came into being. So when we talk about like, oh, when people are like, you idiots were wrong about your Mephisto theories, you see that all over the internet right now. It's like, no one ever said that like Mephisto is going to show up and start punching people. Okay.
Now, as far as that end thing goes, though, I mean, you say surrounded by chaos magic, but I looked at that like in the first Doctor Strange movie where he was using his astral form to, his body would sleep, and his astral form was there studying, and his astral form was awake and doing what. So I saw it as a callback to that. Now, something else too that I noticed, and there was another callback, and it wasn't really a big one, but it was the Incredible Hulk callback to where Wanda knew she was dangerous, and what did she do? She went and found herself a cabin in the middle of nothing, and she went to be a hermit, basically, exactly the same way Banner did in the Hulk. So
didn't she use that same magic when they had the stone back when they were doing the test on her? She was in the cell watching the TV, and then her body was interacting with the Mind Stone. Right? You remember that scene?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'd have to go back and watch that one.
Yeah.
Now that you say it, though, I'm thinking.
Well, that was also because during that time, Agatha was with her watching her memories. So also there's that version of her that's there. Mm-hmm. So it could have also been that. But that is a good point. There have been things we've talked about the hex that we still don't understand, like how, and her first interaction with the Mind Stone is a good example of that. That's something where there's a jump cut in reality. Like the people watching the camera see her walking out and then on the floor. And that's all they experienced. So like, what is up with that? Like, that's definitely the kind of thing that's probably, again, we're going to see probably other things in Loki and in Falcon and the Winter Soldier of like people using stuff that's breaking reality. Kind of like the same way that using the Infinity Stones or accessing their power drew conflict. Vision's even the one that said that. Your power invites like a challenge. He said that in Age of Ultron. So like your very existence invites destruction. And we'll probably see, I'm just guessing, I don't know what it's going to involve, but it's leading up to the Multiverse of Madness. All of these miniseries are like, that's where it's going to be. And then you can see where it's going after that. So,
well, even that with Pietro, Ralph, whatever, Boner, with him, that's just going to be his name. That's all I'm going to call him, Boner.
That was
the very definition. We never, we've been talking this whole time. Maybe this is their way of introducing the X-Men into the MCU. We never established that they're even in the same universe, that the X-Men even exist in this same universe. That's never. So the very definition of the multiverse theory is that, and usually the way the quote's applied is, in some universe, somehow, somewhere, you're Batman. And that's the definition of the multiverse theory. So in this version of the universe, that version of Quicksilver could actually be struggling actor Ralph Boner or whatever, and that's this universe's existing version of him. And I think that the whole jump cut scene with the Stone and Wanda establishes that clearly there's something underlying. Did it awaken her her repressed mutant abilities? Is that what activated her mutation to be the Scarlet Witch? Because in the comics, she was a mutant, and now we can do that. So they almost retconned her in a really brilliant way, because we never actually got to see Strucker's experiments on her. Now we have, and oh, by the way, it wasn't the Stone that gave her the power. The Stone woke up what was inside of her. She survived it when everyone else didn't, because of something inside of her.
Brilliant. First of all, I'm
might be a better term.
I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying it, but when we say brilliant, it's like, it's kind of brilliant that they never showed exactly what happened or how she got the powers. And it's like they were dancing around so many copyright issues because they were like, we have rights to Wanda and Pietro Maximoff, but not to Scarlet Witch and the Quickster. Because those are X-Men. We don't have the rights to the X-Men, but we do have rights to the. So, like, they were like, we can use them, but how do we sidestep this? And that's why, again, knowing this, living in the real world as we do and talking about these fictional things, we're aware of the fact that people are like buying and selling copyright, like the fact that Fox had the mutants and then Sony had Spider-Man. They made a deal, and then Disney bought out Fox. We've known this. It happened a while ago. It happened before Endgame. So like people were expecting even maybe the snap in Endgame, one of those things, to be introducing the mutants. So ever since then, people have been looking, and now they've announced Fantastic Four. They've announced these different things. So that's why people are looking for hints for that in everything they do. And you'd expect it to be coming at some point. I think they just announced like Deadpool's coming up soon.
Right. Yeah, I think this is one of the ways that they actually could tie in like Blade and some of the other darker characters. Because vampires in the MCU is like how, it's not going to be the same Blade that we saw back in the 90s, right? Where vampires are out partying and doing raves and all that stuff. It's going to be totally different. So I think this book here and what they're leading down, the Multiverse of Madness, will lead into some of that. That's my little theory.
Now, see, it's interesting you say that, and Chris has said this multiple times on multiple different shows. Is all of this is leading into the Multiverse of Madness? Everything leads to the Multiverse of Madness, and that's up to and including now, and Falcon and Winter Soldier, Loki. Everything's going to lead up into the Multiverse of Madness. Now, an interesting thought about that is people were so upset the first 2 or 3 episodes of WandaVision because they were like, this isn't what we wanted. This isn't the Michael Bay shoot 'em up, blow 'em up, and this isn't our regular Marvel movie. This is weird. But we looked at it, and Chris made this point in one of the early episodes. It's a mini series. This is just the first part. We're getting introduced to these characters, and we're getting introduced to what's happening. Now, that being said, we're leading up into the Multiverse of Madness. We're just the first of 3 miniseries leading up to the We're just now getting introduced. All of those things. I mean, there's a good chance that they could tie up some of the loose ends in Falcon, and then tie up a few more in Loki, and then maybe Multiverse of Madness gets everything.
I do say it a lot. And not just because it's the next, Marvel movie to come out that's not traveling back in time, aka Black Widow, whenever that comes out. Looking forward to seeing Black Widow, by the way, just caring about it less all the time, which is what happens when you advertise a movie 2 years ago and never actually came out with it. But yeah, I think WandaVision, as it goes in to set up the other things like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, again, I think this is just one piece of the puzzle, and we're going to see more pieces. And actually, hopefully, I'm hoping that we don't even actually see direct connections in like the next one. Maybe they're even talking about something else. Maybe there's multiple different villains at play, things behind the scenes that we don't know about. I've seen theories about Kang the Conqueror. I've seen, because they're going to be introducing Fantastic Four and possibly mutants in the future. So this is really an opportunity. And that's why, again, I and a lot of people are so focused and talking about Multiverse of Madness and Doctor Strange, because it's called Multiverse of Madness. And they've said there are horror elements in there. Paris, when you were talking about introducing vampires and werewolves and stuff, I was like, oh my gosh, I mean, what a literally great, all the elements of stuff is, and it's not, as we talk about things like Marvel and DC competing with each other, we hear the same things, almost the same things, similar things from DC when they're talking about Snyder Cut and then Flashpoint movies and time travel and multiverse. So when we talk about like the competing expanded universes and cinematic universes, like it's still very much happening. And Disney and Marvel, in my opinion, are set up way better than anybody else.
Yeah. You can give a shout out to Sarah Finn casting, because her casting is the one of the best for Marvel, and they just seem to find the right actresses and right actors for these roles, and it fits, right. And then they sign multi-year deals where they're like, okay, you're gonna play this character for 5 films, right? And you'll do end credit scenes, right? So that's sort of the cool thing about
5 films and 5 cameos,
right? Yeah. Right.
You actually had a post about that on your
on our group. Yeah. Give a shout out to her and International Women's Month.
Where am I?
Oh, there it is.
Sarah Finn casting, and these are some of the future additions, as well as some of those are already in it. Oh my gosh, I don't even know who half of these people are going to be in movies for.
Right, this is all Phase 4, so this is all new stuff, right? This is all the newer sort of cast.
It's Agatha in the bottom left.
Yep. And then you got
Rambo and
Angelina Jolie and
Eternals,
Salma Hayek for Eternals. So it's gonna be cool. I love the direction that they're going.
It's definitely exciting.
Yeah.
I'm Falcon and Winter Soldier. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, because what's his face is Captain America's girlfriend or niece, or who is she now?
Agent Carter or
Agent Carter's niece.
Agent 13. Yeah.
What is she now that he went back and like?
Well, she's on the run, right?
She is Steve Rogers' niece as well.
My old
grandpa.
You kissed your niece.
Niece-in-law.
Meanwhile, Falcon and the Winter Soldier in the back seat going.
Yeah, they're like.
Basically set the stage. That's why I am excited for that show, because they're back. They don't like each other.
Yeah.
you know, like all that much or
Can
necessarily.
you move
at
your
all.
seat up? No.
It's going to be totally different than what we saw with WandaVision. It's going to be more, I say more current, but more sort of like towards that Captain America Winter Soldier movie, that sort of level of intensity, the action scenes and things like that. So
it's gonna be Lethal Weapon meets Turner and Hooch. It's gonna be the buddy cop with awesome fight scenes. It's
that's exactly what I was going to say. It's the buddy cop movie.
right. Now there I was reading one of the posts by one of the directors of the film. You know, they're also going to touch on race, right? And it's going to be intense. So I got to warn my group about it because they're going to be pulling on the threads of what's going on in today's society a little bit. And, you know, whole Captain America when Falcon said this shield has a legacy. You know, when you think about it, and then they show U.S. agent, like, you know, Captain America must be white, right? So those sort of things, right? And that's going to play a factor into this. That's
actually, and I'm not trying to plug an article, but just on that topic coming out, my article I'm writing for next week is actually going to be on who is Falcon, because in the comic books, Falcon was the first mainstream African American superhero, period.
Mm-hmm.
And he came out at a time during the height of the civil rights movement.
Oh, and then he paused.
Oh,
He got caught.
oh.
Max, you're gonna have to do that. Oh, there it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
He's a character that came out. I mean, but the very nature of who Falcon is in the history of the comic books is a character that came out during a very controversial time in American history. And Stan Lee said, "Screw it, we're going to do it anyway. There should be." Mm-hmm. And he was in the comics a Captain America. He does pick up the shield. So I think to a degree, I think all things balanced, it should be represented there because that's who Falcon is.
Right.
And not a lot of people know that. So that's actually, I'm trying to touch on that in an article coming out is who he is, because that there's no way you can talk about the Falcon without that coming up at some point in the history of the character.
And if you want to read that article, you can go to geeknewsnow.net.
Yeah. Make sure
next week.
Make sure we share it to the group so we can get as many people taking a look at that. All right, it'll be awesome.
And we will.
Yeah,
it's work to get synergy.
Yeah, there you go.
On the topic though of
the
Captain America and who should get the shield, it's kind of goes back to again that conversation that Cap has with the doctor that's giving him the injection. It's not the best soldier or the strongest person or whoever that should get it. It amplifies, and this is the serum I'm talking about right now. It just amplifies whatever's in the print. It should go to a good person. That metaphor is carried into the shield, where it's like, now who do I pass it on to? Bucky. Well, he's got the serum. To an extent, he's got superpowers. Let's give it to him. He's obviously the superpower. He's the, blah, blah, blah. He can take this. But is that the right person to get? Or is that even and that's why even in Endgame, you see Bucky nodding to Falcon to like go over and talk to him.
Right.
Because Bucky's known Cap his entire life, and they've had like this, that, and the other thing. They're both men out of time. They both have different things. But Sam is the one who actually helped Captain America through post-traumatic stress and things like that, and connected with him on the level of actually having been to war. Like,
and
Bucky is his childhood friend, and yes, they went to war together, but like Sam is someone who he connected with having come back from a war.
Even in the context of what we've seen in the MCU movies, Bucky mentally was probably in no place to take on the mantle. You think about everything he just went through. He went from being a World War II soldier to the next thing his brain knows is he's being turned into a KGB Hydra super soldier. Then he's an assassin for 50 years, being refrozen, reprogrammed, suddenly brought out of it by a guy he believed to be dead, being Steve Rogers. And then he goes in there's the whole Civil War thing. And then then he goes into exile, and he's living in the middle of the wilderness for a few years in Wakanda, and then he goes back into war, snapped out of existence, gone for 5 years, immediately comes right back into. He's kind of been through a lot, and he has a body count as long as my legs, so he's not really got a record where people are going to go, that should be Captain
America. Yeah, he was an assassin for the KGB for a long time. That also plays into this. Like, I know Captain America wears a mask, but everyone knows that's Steve Rogers. You know, like, who's going to be taking up this? It's a
metal arm would be a dead giveaway.
I mean, yeah. Well, he killed Tony Stark's parents, right?
Yeah.
Brutally.
That
on camera.
Did you know?
On camera, right?
My goodness.
Yeah,
it is tough.
Yeah, I don't think the U.S. government would allow that to happen,
and that's why I'm kind of excited to see like what exactly this show is going to be about. Like, they don't even like each other. They hung out or were forced to hang out because of Cap. Cap's gone. Why are they still hanging out?
Right.
And like, again, how does Niece Carter fit into this?
I think on some level they get each other. You've got Falcon, who his whole thing has been, he was a soldier, dealt with his own PTSD, and worked to help other soldiers deal with theirs. Bucky understands the loss. He's got the experience. I mean, they're both ultimately soldiers out of their element. So I think on some degree they get each other.
Do you think this is going to have anything to do with, so I mentioned Kang, and TVA, we've seen that logo on Loki's prison jacket for the Loki series, and that's coming after Falcon and the Winter Soldier, so we know that's coming up. Someone else said, are they ever going to get around to announcing the invasion? I assume what they're talking about is secret invasion, but with the Skrulls, and something we haven't talked about yet, end of WandaVision, Monica talked to a Skrull, pointed up, they acted like that was a big deal, as if we hadn't already seen 5 other times with like Skrull showing up and doing stuff. Honestly, right now, having a Skrull show up and be like, I'm a Skrull up there is not that big of a big deal anymore. Yeah. We're actually kind of past that point. Now you need to start telling us why. Why do they keep like, what's going on?
Was that the Luke Skywalker moment they were talking about?
I swear to God, if someone is trying to sell me on that being again, men weeping. Nobody broke down weeping because that. Yeah. Nobody like. Anyway, sorry. Sam Jackson's up in space. Why? I want to know why. Yeah, what is going on with the invasion? The Skrull invasion. Again, it's a big event in the comics. So I'm assuming it's going to be a big event here. How much does that have to do? Everyone's always talking about Doctor Strange, especially because of WandaVision and everything like that. But the Skrulls seem like a different threat, a different type of threat. So I feel like we're going to have multiple different big bads coming in.
Yeah. Maybe that's
different threat, and oddly an ally.
Well, and that always threw me about Captain Marvel was that the Skrulls in the comic books were bad guys, and now Captain Marvel comes along and they're actually really good people, and we're going to help them out because they're nice and everything, and we're going to send them to their new home planet or whatever. Is that not a build up for? I mean, could that not be the next big bad as the Skrulls? Is they're just because you saw in Far From Home the end credits.
Bads?
Well, are they or are they not? I memean, is this another one of those? Is this another one of those?
Kree! Look out for the Kree.
Well, but I mean, what kind of twist would it be if it was here's the Skrulls and they're not really bad people and we're helping them out, and then all of a sudden, just like that, they turn on you and they're the bad guys, and you're just going, these people were supposed to be our friends. Oh no, what happened? And if that happens, just remember, I said it here first. I've called it.
I think there might be a split between them, right? Where you're going to get the Skrulls that are are sort of being rescued and are trying to do good things, and then there's a splitter of the Skrulls, a much more darker side of the Skrulls that the Kree were really after, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they're shapeshifters. And I guess it's kind of racist to assume the entire race would just be on one side as opposed to, being able to make their choices for themselves.
Every faction has extremes.
Yeah,
Right.
they are a group of shapeshifters, and who knows who's working for who or who's doing what. I just can't wait for like one Skrull to like change from like Nick Fury into a Skrull, and then someone be like, "Yeah, no kidding," and then they churn into a slightly different Skrull, and the person's like, "Oh no, you're that Skrull, not the Skrull that I thought you were. You're an imitation inside an imitation.
You're the other Skrull."
And then someone's like deactivates a hologram watcher and like, you have no idea what's going on now.
Leonardo DiCaprio shows up and suddenly it's Inception.
This was all just a dream. Well, then it doesn't matter. No, I don't know why you would assume that.
I look forward.
Yeah! What I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
How funny would it be if every person in the MCU is a Skrull except for Justin Hammer? He's like the only human, and he's just like
we couldn't replicate his dance moves.
nobody tells Sam Rockwell he's the only human in the MCU.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, one thing I was thinking about is like, so if we go back to a little bit of WandaVision, where that happened a couple of weeks after Endgame, and then Far From Home. I don't know if anybody went back and watched Far From Home because of that. I did, just to see if there's any sort of connection. I mean, we got the teacher talking about witches, and then you got a few other things that are sort of. I was trying to piece things together where during the scene where he got the glasses from Peter Parker, there was a celebration. And then there was a conversation. They celebrated the guy that came up with the story of the multiverse. And I was like, did this guy know something that happened back in WandaVision? Right? I was like, was he working for SWORD? And now he's working for them. I don't know. I was just trying to string all these things together as part of my theories. But it's sort of, now that we don't know if we got a multiverse or not, I mean, I guess we will know, but it's sort of one of those things where I went back and started thinking about. I don't know if you guys have, if you all have done any of that yet.
I've definitely been going back and looking through things personally, because I like to make music videos. And so like I made the one music video that I was showing earlier. It didn't have the sound because that would be copyright stuff, but as I was watching WandaVision, I was like, how is this making more sense as the show goes along? And that's the one that's called Dreams. Again, if you go to Geek News Now's YouTube page, you can just go to trailers and music videos. I come up with tons of crazy stuff, and it's wonderful. And it is wonderful because the one that I'm working on right now is not Hammer Dance.
Fill my eyes with that double vision.
I am working on that one. Anyway, I see these things and I'm just like, there's no way that these connections are happening the way that I'm thinking they are. And then they do.
Right.
It's interesting to go back and look. And that's why a lot of people have been saying Disney Plus has been recommending Age of Ultron for a lot of people. And I'm like, you really should go back and watch that if you haven't. As far as like WandaVision goes, tons. It's very important to that story.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, every time I get done watching WandaVision, after every episode, it automatically goes back. Age of Ultron pops up. And I was really hoping for that James Spader voice to come through on White Vision.
Oh,
damn it!
Yeah.
Same. There was a garbled moment where he, like when he was first, before they started talking about the ship, and maybe during it, it almost sounded like a mix of their voices. It did sound like a distorted Jarvis voice, though, which is kind of. And Ultron was a different thing. I still think there's a chance. Do you think Ultron's still out there somehow?
I firmly believe that. Yes.
Nods.
No, I don't think so. I think
Paris does not.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. I think Vision burned him out with the stone. Burn 'em
Well,
out of there.
but see, here's the and I think I mentioned this last week or week before, and I still to this day have not gone back and checked. But
Mhm.
somebody told me that if you go watch Spider-Man Homecoming, it was the Homecoming that they're moving all of Stark's stuff from the tower to upstate New York, and they're packing everything up. Well, somebody said that one of the things getting packed up was an Ultron skull. Now,
Yes.
now, why would his programming not still be within that skull? I know it's not a skull. His head.
His head.
Yeah. So why would that programming still not be in his head, just lying dormant, waiting for power or some way to wake itself up?
Justin Hammer, in a desperate attempt, now that Stark is dead,
Yeah.
steals Ultron,
And then dances about it.
and then that's how we get him back.
Yeah. What I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
You know, I used to think that look between the two of them there after he's done dancing was disbelief. I think it was awe. Like, really? Like,
Pretty sure it's
white boy can
scorn.
move? What's this?
No.
Pure scorn. Like, look at this idiot. Again, people give Iron Man 2 so much crap, but that right there, that scene by itself is just one of the wonderful juxtapositions of Hammer versus Stark. You have Tony Stark's intro when he literally comes down in an Iron Man suit, then it's surrounded by cheerleaders. And then we have Justin Hammer coming out and doing his little dance. And then when he actually reveals his drones, he's like, that's better than some cheerleaders, right? Like and he sees himself in so much competition with Tony Stark. And Tony Stark doesn't even give a crap about him, which only makes him angrier. That was so great.
So I've seen it, and I'm gonna, just because we've been talking about the double vision, and why I have my own theory, but I want to put it out to you guys. Why didn't White Vision come to Wanda? Why did he leave? He's got all of his memories. He remembers everything. Why did he fly off?
Because he's the Vision.
I think honestly, because so he's the original Vision. He is the parts from the Thanos incident, right? And when Vision tapped him and gave him his memories back, he had still been undergoing some kind of programming from Sword. So I think he kind of took off and flew off and did his own thing, because I think he's just now finding out all of this stuff about himself, and it's kind of overriding, but not really overriding all the stuff that's in there with Sword. And I think he was I got to be alone. I got to sort this out. I got to figure out what I'm doing here. What is my purpose? And so it was I've got to leave. Let me figure things out, and then I'll come back to Wanda later. Which is why, now we need season 2. We'll have White Vision with Wanda, and it'll be great.
Well, I was agreeing with you on a lot of that until you got to that last point where you're like, then we need WandaVision season 2. Because I don't know if that would lead directly into that. Because we see, again, here, he gets the memories, and they were having a debate over what is what and who is who. And that's why he leaves. Because he is the Vision, and the Vision that he's talking to is also they're both Vision, and they both agree that they're both Vision, but the Vision that literally touches his head there, the one that's in color, is the one that has all their memories. And when he gives that to the other one, then that one becomes the fully corporeal, fully real, not needing the hex to survive, but having all the memories body Vision. And he gets away from there. Either there could be tons of reasons, you know what I mean? Tons and tons of reasons, but the least of which, get away from Sword, get away from the people that are trying to control him, get away from this, that, and the other thing. B, he knows that this Vision is still here. This Vision is going to do everything he needs to do to solve the problem with the hex.
Right.
White Vision doesn't need to be here anymore. He accepts it. He's like, I'm Vision. I got to get out. This is not where I need to be right now. This is not what I need to be doing now. And literally at the end of the episode Wanda and Vision are talking to you, and he says, I was this, I was that, I was, a robot, and then an android, and then a computer program, or this, and I was a memory brought to life. What'll I be next? He could already be in that next form. And going back several episodes to when Pietro first arrived, he said Shangri-La. You found your Shangri-La, which in the comics is literally a place that the White Vision creates or helps create because he has an understanding of life and death. That could be something that's coming up in the future.
Yeah.
They could have been setting all that up.
One of the things I didn't get here in this scene that you're showing is the vision, the color vision. Where did he get his memories from? Because he didn't remember anything.
Ooh.
So, like, how did by him tapping? Now, the vision, the White Vision, would have had the head and would have had all the memories because that's what his body came from. So, I'm trying to figure out, like, how did that all happen? Unless I'm
Vision, color version Vision, said you have the memories, they're just being kept from you. So I don't know if Hayward or Sword or whoever kind of blocked, like put up a firewall or something in his brain, and then by Vision touching him kind of released it.
Yeah.
Also, she said that, like, when Vision asked at the end, "Who am I?" She said, "You're the part of
the Mind Stone that still lives in me."
Yeah, and so there's also this scene during. And at that point, they've discussed that, like, all I can feel is you. She's the one that, like, destroys the Mind Stone. So she could literally have everything again. His memories, like everything from this point. But also, Vision in WandaVision said there's so much he doesn't remember. So
well, and to something else you gotta think, the colorful vision was the creation of Wanda's mind specifically for the Hex. Now, Vision was created in Age of Ultron. Wanda was there when Vision was born, if you will. Wanda has known Vision all of his life. His memories, the colorful Vision's memories, are what, in my opinion, are what her memories are of him, the stuff that happened to him. And she was there. She knew what had happened to him. She had been with him this whole time. So,
right.
Although I think she left some of them out because he did not know anything about. If you go back and watch some of the other episodes, he knew nothing about him dying. He didn't know
about the Avengers. Yeah, there was.
He had no clue. I think she was blocking that. She didn't want him to remember that part of it. She didn't want that part of it because that would just be a reminder. Oh, he died. He's not really real. He's dead.
And that was also something. If you go back and if you haven't rewatched the show, or if you've just rewatched certain episodes, if you go watch and rewatch the entire thing, you're gonna notice Vision becoming more and more disobedient, as it were, as he gains more and more control, and as Wanda is less willing to just mind control him because she doesn't want, and you can see this in the final episode, she doesn't want to be mind controlling people. She doesn't want to be enslaving people to her will. She didn't even fully realize that's what she was doing. It's actually only during her fight with Agatha, it seems, when she accepts the mantle and becomes the Scarlet Witch, that she understands or begins to understand the full extent of her powers. Like, she didn't, or at least even if she was doing it, like, it wasn't fully her choice. It was partially because of that grief, and it's partially just like these otherworldly powers. And Monica even says at the end, if I had your powers, I would have brought back my mom. It's like, it's easy for you or whoever as just a person to be like, how could you do this, you monster? And it's like, you have no idea. not just the power that's exerting pressure on her, but just her own, and all that stuff combined, and no one being able to teach her how to do anything. And that's why, again, they've set up stuff. Agatha being there. I don't know how that works, by the way. End of the episode, she says, I'll imprison you here, and I'll come back if I need you. Does that include Ralph? Again, none of that's answered, and I'm still furious.
Right? Does the hex go down when she takes the hex down?
Yeah, she took the hex down. So, like, whose house was that?
Right. Well, it was Ralph's house that Agatha had, right? But
Who's Ralph?
Right.
And why didn't the FBI or Sword know who he was? They were documenting every single person. When fake Pietro showed up, and she goes, "Oh, she recast Pietro. Shouldn't somebody else have gone? That's Ralph Boner, resident 803 of 524 whatever street.
Well, he lived right next door.
We've got his information. Like, yeah, if this was a thing, why didn't anyone know? Why was there? Oh, she recast Pietro. No, that's just this guy. That should have been. So there has to be more going on there. Otherwise, it's literally a Rickroll. And Disney Plus, Marvel, WandaVision, Kevin Feige, you're better than that. Don't Rickroll me with Pietro.
I think there's more to that than they're letting on, and it'll probably come up in the movie or something. That
I pray to God.
I can't believe they're going to do that.
Also, because on a meta level, the recent X-Men movies haven't been all that great. The best things about them have been Evan Peters' Quicksilver. So for you to take that, knowing that that's like the best part of those movies, and be like, here he is now, entering our universe, and then to be like,
right,
Boner. Again, they called him Boner. Like, it's it was Agatha all along. I don't know. Maybe I'm too caught up in that. But
yeah,
let it go, Chris. Let it go.
Never.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting because it's not like we have a lot of movies to figure this out, right? Like, what's next? Black Widow, and then Shang-Chi, and then Eternals, Spider-Man, and then it's Multiverse of Madness. So it's like, and then on the TV show side, what you got? Miss Marvel, you've got Loki, maybe Loki, maybe, I don't know, but
think about the roller coaster they just sent us on for 9 weeks, and we still have what 43 left to go before we get to it's anything can happen at this point.
The thing I noticed, Marvel is basically putting something out every Friday from here until the foreseeable future, whether it's literally an episode, like we're talking about the season finale. This upcoming Friday, they're doing the making of WandaVision, and then they're moving right into Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then they're doing making of that, and then they're moving right into the next thing. So, again, that's why we've got MCU Mondays. That's why I recorded myself singing as a choir for our theme song, and there's going to be more of those, by the way.
I'm telling you, I know how all of this is going to end, how Marvel is going to finish it all off with a bang. The grand finale, I'm calling it now, right now, on March 8th, Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe. That's it. That's how it ends. That's the end of it.
Shut up and take my money.
Deadpool.
Not ever gonna happen. I love it. Yeah. But were it to happen,
Payback is a big payback. Payback is a big payback. Payback is a big.
I love Deadpool. I love Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe, but that's even more of a.
How do you guys feel? How do you all feel about the PG-13 rating? Is that something
for Deadpool?
Not, yeah,
I think they've come out. That? I was going to say, last I heard, it was going to be rated R. They were going to stick with the R rating for that one. I think it was Blade that was going to step down from an R to a PG-13.
Yeah,
I did hear that about Blade, and I thought
I thought I heard about Deadpool too.
Deadpool was rated R. Everyone's typing. We gotta find out.
We gotta find out.
Oh, we got this covered one day ago. Said they reportedly tried to convince Marvel to make Deadpool PG-13. And we got this covered 14 hours ago. Said Deadpool. Disney reportedly didn't want Deadpool 3 to be R-rated.
So reported quote from Feige.
Also, I just want to say, we got this covered is just not reliable.
Well, so
in any sense of the word, and that's why they say reportedly. And it's like, aren't you guys the reporters? Yeah. Shouldn't you be the one saying we're reporting this? And they're like, well, we heard, and by we heard, we're saying we don't bear responsibility for the lies we're making up.
Right.
Yeah. So according to regmovies.com, I know nothing about them, but supposedly they have a direct quote from Feige on January 13th this year. It will be rated R, and we are working on a script right now. And Ryan Reynolds is overseeing a script right now. It will not be filming this year.
I think I wrote an article on that right about that time.
Okay. And I think it was announced as part of like the Phase 5. I think like yesterday or something just said like of the Phase 5 things, Deadpool 3 was going to be one of them.
We got this covered. It's not a good source.
No. We got this covered in shit is basically what I call that. And it's, no offense other than the obvious implied offense, but they come out with articles all the time that are just
maybe
trash. And
maybe if we pull a DC fandom, and we petition, we can get the Feige cut of WandaVision and get all of our questions answered that have really ticked you off all night. Be 4 hours in 6 parts, and we just get all of the answers.
First of all, if they were to set that precedent, I have legions of videos where I complain about things. So they've got a lot more corrections to make. Open the floodgates, I dare you. I tease. Bringing us back, we've been going for almost an hour and a half now. WandaVision. Before we wrap it up, is there anything else we want to say? Anything else you want to talk about? The season finale, your thoughts on it, anything that we didn't cover that you really want to get out there? Anybody?
You have a Fantastic Four. You want to talk about that? Because
we didn't get a chance really to talk about that, and I mentioned that when I sent you guys the the topics. I mentioned that as one of the Fantastic Four, or lack thereof. Now, in the defense of WandaVision, I'll say this: no one from the cast of WandaVision, from the crew, nothing from them ever said you'll be getting someone from the Fantastic Four. Mm-hmm. That being said, they did. I went to film school. There's a way that you write scripts. They built up that character for several episodes, and there's nothing. It was like, you don't build up a character like that. I've got a friend that is an
astrophysicist.
I've got a friend.
He was an aerospace, and she said he too. She said he and aerospace engineer.
And then like the chick general or whatever showed up with the moon vehicle or the Mars vehicle, and again, and that didn't work. Mm-hmm. But the whole thing was, you spent 2 episodes. There were literally 2 episodes where she was mentioning this person, and there was no payoff.
Right.
That's one of those things that's kind of weird. Again, that's like kind of almost, it's like a lower level Pietro type deal. 9.8. What do you think, Devin?
I don't think they're done yet.
So you think the astrophysicist has not been revealed?
I think if Marvel is smart, and I think they are, I think we're going to see some after credit scenes with future shows tie in. I think we're going to see an overarching connection. It's been their pattern. It's worked. And if you look at anybody who's successful and consistently successful, they follow a pattern that works. Shakespeare, almost everything he ever wrote follows the exact same pattern. Why? Because it works. Marvel, same thing. You know, what, 15, how many years have we been doing this now? And they have a pattern and it works. And if they keep to that, we're going to see it tie in for the next forever.
What if, and this is just a thought.
Marvel, what if?
Yeah, Marvel, what if?
Not there yet. I tease. Go on, David. I apologize.
But what if Reed pops up in Falcon and the Winter Soldier and he makes mention of, you know, just as a hey, we're gonna go visit this guy and he's gonna tell us one thing. And I mean he's just like a one-shot character. And he mentions something about Monica Rambeau. And that's what ties WandaVision to Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Right. Well, it's gonna be key on when Falcon and the Winter Soldier takes place, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Also true.
So that's the timeline, right?
And we don't know that. Again, we don't know when Loki's going to be taking place, which has been a product something that a lot of people have been talking about because again, he did. I mean, the whole Loki thing is a wrench in everything, as Loki is wont to be, but just the timeline thing, the whole end game, like this is how timelines work, and we're going to make fun of every other timeline movie, and we're going to establish this, and then Loki's going to get away in the middle of the thing, and we're just going to move on.
Right.
And be like, well, we stopped Thanos.
Oh, this Loki.
We're there. That's it.
Forget about the rest of the thing. Iron Man's dead now, so we forget that Loki's just literally from the year 2012 or whatever. We're changing timelines like all up the wazoo.
Right.
I think that's going to be like, I feel like that's got to be a huge focus of the Loki story, but I have no idea what Falcon and the Winter Soldier is going to cover. But again, like you were saying, I do think that we're going to like WandaVision is going to be like this area, like this was this problem that we're going to see. And like, you know, Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to be like, oh my gosh, we're dealing with this wholly different problem over here. And Loki's going to be like, well, this is this whole situation here. But they're all going to be three like points of the Triforce creating the multiverse of madness.
Right.
Bringing back Benedict Cumberbatch, a.k.a. Sherlock Strange.
Oh yeah,
Hey,
it would be awesome for him to show up in Loki.
Yeah,
Smaug.
Or Captain and the Snowman.
I'm working on a meme for Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Trust me. I wanted to have it ready for this episode, but I was busy recording myself singing as a choir for our themes.
that was more important, Chris.
It was really more important.
That was more important. I just want Evan Peters to show up at some point in different ones and just walk up to somebody and say, hey, can I get your autograph? And just have that as just a running thing for a while. Struggling actors, starstruck. Hey, can I get your autograph? Captain America, huge fan.
Make it out to Boner.
Or he's the new Stan Lee. Snooper's gonna snoop every movie.
He'll be in every movie.
I've heard. We talked about who would take Stan Lee's place or if they would do something like that. And it seems like I heard they were just going to be doing, instead of actually having like a blatant cameo like they had with Stan Lee for all those years, they're going to be doing more like subtle things, just referencing him. And I think there was a license plate that was his birthday in one of the episodes of WandaVision. So I think it might be lower key stuff like that, but
Right.
He deserves it, man. Someone else was talking about, you know, obviously how he was pushing back and like fighting against the crowd when he was making these, and not just him, but you know, everyone involved. Black Panther was another one where they literally made the character because they were fight like X-Men again. Like Deadpool even mentions it in Deadpool 2. He's like, we're X-Men. We're an outdated metaphor against racism. You know, and like it's like Black Panther. There was an episode, one of the first comics that they made of that. The heads of this whatever came back to him and was like, you need to have more white people in this. And so they just made it Black Panther taking out the KKK. And that was where they added the white people.
Yeah,
That
well,
was just like,
it was that and him taking out the Fantastic Four, right? And that's what that pissed off a lot of people because it's like, who is this guy taking out the first Stanley, right? It's like, what? So Stanley was like, here you go.
I definitely studied that in one of my classes. Not even when I was taking film classes. That was during, what class was that? And Signs and Symbols, and we studied comics to understand like why you put things in certain places in the order. And that was the comic they used, was that original episode. Jack Kirby, and I think wrote that one of Fantastic Four meets Black Panther. Yeah. And they're like flying in a spaceship, and the Fantastic Four is like, what the hell is this? Reed Richards is like, what is this? I'm there. That's why I'm so excited to see, like, and again, I think that's why so many people were looking for in WandaVision, now that everyone knows, hey, they've got Fantastic Four, they've got mutants. So we're all looking for it. So everyone's looking for it, expecting it. And if you don't get it, well, what are you going to do? I was looking for it. Like, you shouldn't be upset. That's why I see like other people like, people are upset over their fan theories not coming true. I'm like, well, again, it's one thing to have your own fan theories, and then if they don't come true, that's just like, well, whatever. It's another thing when the people making it come out and say, there's going to be a Mark Hamill level reveal at the end. At which point you say, whoa!
They're just trolling you, Chris. They're just trolling you. That's all it is.
The thing. The Mandalorian, they didn't do that. Because, I should have realized it when it first came out that someone said there's going to be a Mark Hamill level reveal at the end. That's nonsense. You can't do that. Because if you've spoiled it right there.
Mm-hmm.
You've gone Tom Holland.
Video. You should do a music video that's a supercut of you tonight, all the times you've ranted against the Mark Hamill level review and Boner, and intermix it with like Eye of the Tiger.
Fill my eyes with your Mark Hamill cameo. Anyway, anything else for WandaVision?
I thought Wanda's outfit was awesome. That was some hot stuff right there.
Yes. They made the comic book outfit look great.
my son said, "Oh, finally, she's finally got her costume. This is, every other character has had something similar to their comic book counterpart, and Wanda finally got hers."
And if you noticed, when she was going through that transformation, it was basically the exact same thing that she's seen in the Mind Stone, except for in yellow. But this time around, it was in red, but it was the exact same thing. I called it. Thank you very much. One of the theories was right.
And that fight scene between her and Agatha in the sky was really well shot, and the effects were on point with that. That was movie level cinematography for a TV show, which I don't think we could have less than that. But that was a nice pretty intense scene.
Intense scenes, yeah. One of the things that I also caught was the brooch that Agatha had on that she took from her mother, and when she got swapped back into the hometown girl, she still had it on. Mm-hmm. I think it's some sort of magical thing where she can break spells and things like that with it. That's just my theory on it.
I think you're on to something there, and I don't know the details. I don't know the comics as well as other people, but we see and we saw with her when she was getting surrounded by the Council of Witches and they were using her power, that Agatha's mother, who was like the leader of those witches, had her own crown in a similar way that Wanda had hers. So it makes me wonder, and there are things that were brought up about witches and mentioned that never really got discussed, such as like, you're the Scarlet Witch, you don't need a coven. which is like a group of witches. And is that something, again, we haven't seen witches in the MCU yet. So this is our first introduction to them, really. Like questions like, okay, do witches normally need a coven? If so, why doesn't Agatha? What's up with Agatha's power and why does she? The Darkhold, again, like so many doors have been opened with this.
Right. Yeah, Thor's mom was raised by witches.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that we can ever. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that's going to be playing a major fundamental role in like what's obviously, again, Doctor Strange 2, Multiverse of Madness. So it's going that direction, but we do have other things. Captain America was never like it was more focused on a man, like a person overcoming things, not like otherworldly crazy stuff. Now, did he overcome some of those things? Yes, but it's more about like his struggle and things like that more than cosmic chaos. So I'm thinking that Falcon and the Winter Soldier might bring us back to that kind of level of spy thriller, action thriller, like that kind of show where WandaVision was more a bunch of different things, but sitcom-y for a lot of the times. And so like that was like a sitcom / MCU thing. This one's going to be like a spy thriller, action thriller MCU thing. And Loki is probably going to be a mind F.
Interdimensional.
If I'm to guess, it's going to be messing with you.
Yeah.
That's what I think anyway.
Yeah. Well, they have a lot of explaining to do for sure. So hopefully we can
we're going to have to keep watching, I guess.
There you go.
Week to week, talking about it every Monday here on MCU Mondays. It's the show where we talk about Marvel stuff. I'm not going to play the thing again because I can't.
Associated, affiliated, and promoted with GeekNewsNow.net. Consult your physician before you pursue GeekNewsNow.net. Thank you.
May cause warped floors, cluttered drawers, fruit flies, lazy eyes. Do not take unprescribed. But I'm prescribing it right now.
GeekNewsNow.net.
That's the end of our episode. Thank you. I want to special thanks to Paris Lockhart for joining us. Marvel Cinematic Universe Facebook group. The link is in the description. Check it out. Over 500,000 members and just wonderful content being posted there all the day. Again, another shout out to you, Paris, because I like the questions and stuff you ask. You just put out general shout outs to your people. You're just like, hey. I'm like, he runs the group. He cares.
Yeah, we care. Yeah. It's gonna be fun. I thank you for having me. This is amazing. You all are doing a great job. I'm glad we can sync and hopefully get some viewers and get some more content for everyone in our group to check out, and another avenue to talk about stuff, right? And hopefully you're able to share that with everybody. So this is awesome. We are looking forward to seeing some posts from Geek News Now, so we'll definitely be in touch, and you can jump in on our conversations anytime you want to. So it'll be fun times.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it, and looking forward to having you back on future shows, which since I didn't want to assume before the show, but I figured we'd have a good time. And now that we have, I'm excited to have you back. Anyway, awesome. That's it for us today. Make sure to tune in every Monday for MCU Mondays on Geek News Now Live, and we'll see you next time.